Okay, so we all know that people love to say that Raw sucks because it's the trendy thing to do, but I know of at least one little guy and one big guy who would argue with you a whole lot about tonight's Raw. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your January 11th Raw review. Now, coming off of last week, a little bit of an interesting thing. There was no NXT, but we had the debut of SmackDown, which you could check out my review one video back, and you got the debut of Raw for 2016, also where we had a lot of things happen, including a World Heavyweight Championship match, and the announcement that Vince McMahon says that the world title is going to be defended in the Royal Rumble match on the 24th of this month. So how do you follow that up? Well, going into tonight's Raw, I watched the pre-show, you guys know this, just in case there's anything announced right off the bat, and even the pre-show was full of information for this show. I'm not sitting here shilling the network or shilling the pre-show, because it is just hype, but I like it. Scott Stanford and Otunga and Booker T and Corey Graves do, for what it is, they do a good job. But they announced that Sting's going into the Hall of Fame. Now, I know this has been all over social media earlier in the day, but the first time they announce it on TV is on the pre-show, which takes a lot out of it when they announce it later on in the show. We hear that the New Day is going to be on the highlight reel, which promises good times. Lesnar is going to return tonight. We knew that from last week. I wish they would stop announcing it in advance. Lesnar showing up should get a pop. They talk about the John Cena injury, which, there's people out there that are wishing him well, which is awesome because they're good people, and there's people there celebrating and just being delusional, which makes them not so great people. But the big one for me, the big one for tonight anyway, is that we're going to get Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto for the United States Championship after Kalisto's upset on I was about to say NXT, on SmackDown. Big, exciting thing. Didn't think that much would come of it, and we go into the show. We replay the Sheamus Roman Reigns match from last week, including the ending, including Vince McMahon's announcement. Vince and Steph come out with the entire roster on the stage, and I say, the commentators say the entire roster, but the Wyatts aren't there. Lesnar's not there. Cena's not there. Cena's injured, but a lot of noticeable people are not there. They look around and they stand in the ring and they smile and they say, "Look, there's your new WWE champion," pointing at the ramp, indicating that anybody but Roman Reigns can win. They talk some shit about the Rumble. They talk some shit about, Ziggler finally grabbing the brass ring. Will Ambrose fight his own friend to become the world champion? The lights go out. The lights come back on. Bray Wyatt and his family are perched sort of on the announce table like the vultures they are. I like that. That's a neat little thing. They do their thing. Roman Reigns, anybody but you. Vince smiles. It's all good. Roman Reigns comes out and Vince talks some shit and Steph talks some shit, and Roman just says, "Yeah, but what if I win?" And it drives Steph nuts, and it drives Vince nuts, and Vince says, "You're going to have a one versus all match, but I'm not going to tell you who's in the match. It could be anybody. It could be the whole roster. It could be a quarter or a third or a half of the roster. It could even be your own brother, Dean Ambrose." Oh, wait, no, Dean Ambrose has a match right now. Meanwhile, on stage, Sheamus jumps Dean Ambrose. So we come back from commercial break. After the cheap shot, there's punches and a clothesline in the ring by Sheamus, belly to back suplex by Sheamus, uppercuts in the corner by Sheamus, chops in the corner by Ambrose, 10 beats of the Bowerin by Sheamus, and a choke on the ropes. Sheamus rides a headlock because he is indeed a bad guy, makes it even better with shots to the kidneys, back suplex by the commentators, by the way. Really do a good job. I know I shit, even tonight on Twitter, I shit on the commentary after Mauro Ranallo's debut on SmackDown. I do really think that a lot of people are going to pale by comparison, but they did do a good job in this match, repeatedly referencing the beatdown that he got from Kevin Owens on SmackDown, which is good. So when you got him in a headlock and he's getting a bunch of kidney shots, he got thrown on the case, he got thrown through the table, and all that sort of thing. For people that are like, nobody watches SmackDown, well, Spaz does. Back suplex by Ambrose, clothesline by Sheamus. Ambrose blocks the 10 beats of the Bowerin, and after a couple of headbutts, hits a 10 beats of the Bowerin of his own, which drives Sheamus nuts, which makes me laugh. Front vertical suplex slam on Ambrose by Sheamus through the not through the announce table, but onto the announce table is good. Working the midsection. Crossface in the ring by Sheamus is something that you don't typically see from him. Corner splash by Ambrose, and he tosses Sheamus out of the ring. Suicide dive by Ambrose takes us into the commercial break. We come back, and there's an Irish curse backbreaker and a Texas Cloverleaf by Sheamus, working the midsection, working the back. It's fucking great. And Ambrose, when he's in pain, just looks even more psychotic than usual, doesn't he? Swinging neckbreaker by Sheamus. Sheamus eats post, shoulder first. Second rope tornado DDT by Ambrose. Standing elbow drop by Ambrose. This is my writing. It sucks. I wrote it less than 2 hours ago. I can't already read it. Rebound, not roundhouse. Rebound clothesline by Ambrose. Sheamus runs Ambrose into the rail 3 times on the outside and then into the steps. Sheamus eats post 3 times in a row, head first, and bleeds. Twitter explodes. We're getting the Attitude Era back. No, we're not, but a little blood is nice. The match is tossed out. Sheamus basically says, fuck it. Owens comes out of the crowd, beats down Ambrose from behind, and there's a rough pull apart. It's all good. We're building the Ambrose-Owens story. I like it a lot. Sheamus has done his bit as the weapon for the Authority. The match is over. Why would he care? He fucks off. Somebody said tonight, what happened to the League of Nations, because it wasn't really mentioned at any point in the night, so I'm thinking they might have just dropped that. I don't really know. We got Vince runs into Paul Heyman in the back. Paul Heyman pitches him the idea that Lesnar shouldn't be in the Rumble match, that if you want to make a blockbuster for WrestleMania, you just have the winner of the Rumble face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because Brock Lesnar should just be there because he's a blockbuster. Vince says no. They argue. Stephanie suggests they move their argument into the doorway of Vince's office, away from prying eyes, i.e. the scene is over. Stardust versus Titus O'Neil is next. Let me say something about this, okay? Stardust had his face painted up all like Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie. David Bowie passed away last night / this morning, R.I.P. and all that sort of thing. Very, very, very classy thing for Stardust to do. I'm gonna say that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Cool thing to do, very respectful, you know, tribute type thing to do. I won't take anything away from it. Doesn't mean that I give a shit about this match. Guys, this I don't even want to call it a feud. This Stardust Titus O'Neil thing started because the kayfabe of Stardust was being completely ruined by Titus O'Neil walking into his change room and being like, your change room's just full of lights and this is lame. So basically, they're having a feud because Titus O'Neil is killing Stardust's gimmick, which doesn't really, I don't care. I don't care about Titus O'Neil. At the best of times, Titus O'Neil wins with a Clash of the Titus. Some people are saying on Twitter that it was really, really distasteful to have somebody out there dressed like the David Bowie Ziggy Stardust thing and lose. I don't think it is. The tribute is in how he presented himself, not the fact that he should necessarily win because of it. That's just my opinion. I didn't find it personally offensive. But then again, I'm not the hugest David Bowie fan in the world. If you are and you were offended by that, then all the power to you. But I think there are bigger things to be upset about, quite frankly. The highlight reel. Jericho comes out, and when he starts his segment, you can't really tell whether he's going for face or heel, because he's being pretty damn cocky, even for Chris Jericho. I'm here to save the WWE, ... Again, he goes on the very, very $64,000 expensive Geritron 5000, shows flashes of all these social media, rah, focuses on one girl, and I think her Twitter handle is just like blue7512, definitely looked fake, whatever. My new favorite expression is Rudy Tooty Booty from last week. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to leave as the champion. New Day comes out, he says, you're a bad host, and we are here to actually save your show. All your talking, you know, they're trying to say that he's talking crap, but call it booty chatter, which is great. Rudy Tooty Booty chants from the crowd, creepy gyrating from the New Day, because that's what they do. The Usos come out and mock them and flash their Slammy of the Tag Team of the Year Slammies at them. Jericho calls the entire New Day the My Little Pony Jabronis and suggests a match where he's going to be in the Usos' corner. All fine, all good. I know a lot of people out there are teasing, oh, it was supposed to be a 3-on-3 match. Nobody announced a 3-on-3 match. Jericho's out there in a suit. He wasn't out there in his ring gear. They never announced a match. They never announced that Jericho will be wrestling on this show at all. Talk is Jericho. The highlight reel is kind of like Miz TV. It often ends up in a match, but very maybe 50-50. Does the host be involved in the match? Usually it's the host and whoever's out there talking shit, whoever their opponent is at the time, and they have a match. But whatever. Kofi Kingston and Big E Langston with Xavier Woods in their corner versus the Usos with Y2J in their corner. Kofi and Jay trade corner clotheslines to start. Double elbow drop by the Usos. Armbar by Jimmy and shots by Kofi. Clothesline by Big E. Flying elbow by Jimmy with chops, because the Usos do chops. Usos work Big E's arm for a while. One of them holds the arm, the other one jumps off with sort of an axe handle to the arm. Repeat as necessary. Top rope, double elbow by Kofi. Jay and Kofi trade kicks. You know, I want to call them Daniel Bryan-esque, but I won't. Right hands and a flying elbow by Jimmy. Drop kick and an ass to the face by Jimmy. Jawbreaker by Jimmy, and Jimmy gets tossed out of the ring. Jericho chases Woods up the ramp as we go to commercial break. He basically screams boo at him, and Xavier Woods makes it funny by actually running away. It is what it is. We come back from the commercial break, and there's a mud hole stomp in the corner by Kofi on Jimmy. Kofi rides a headlock and an arm lock for a long time. Running splash on the apron by Big E is pretty damn cool because he does it to himself. It's effective to his opponent, but he is throwing himself at the ground at the end of the day, because you got your guy, and I'm going to do pantomime here for a second. Here's the apron, here's the guy, here's Kofi jumping on him and off. That didn't do anything for you guys watching, did it? No, it didn't. But basically, Big E doing that splash on the apron, because the announcers always enunciate that it is the hardest part of the ring, which is true. It's a corner. It's going to be the strongest part of the ring. But at the same time, he does the splash, and then he falls off the apron himself. So it's awkward looking, which makes it more painful looking, which I guess makes it more effective. Abdominal stretch by Big E, elbows by Jimmy, and a clothesline by Big E. Running clothesline on the outside by Big E, you know, whiplash effect on the hard ground and all that sort of thing. Boom drop by Kofi Kingston in the ring. Enziguri by Jimmy, hot tag to Jay. Double drop kick to Big E, dumps out Kofi. Tope out of the ring by Jay is fucking pretty. Top rope crossbody by Jay is equally as pretty. Belly to belly suplex by Big E is not pretty, it's just thump. There you go. Super kicks for Big E and Kofi. Woods crotches Jay on the top turnbuckle. Jericho distracts Woods by breaking the precious trombone. Xavier Woods sells it comically by crying outside the ring. There's a roll-up by Jay, and the Usos get the win. The Usos, more importantly, have a pinfall victory over the Tag Team Champions, which, gee, I wonder what they're doing at the Royal Rumble, but that's fine. They're going to come down there with the titles and the Slammies, a la British Bulldog and Owen Hart from back in the day. I'm totally okay with that, especially because they, much like the late great Owen Hart, can say, two-time Slammy award-winning Tag Team Champion. If they do that, I'm not entirely against it. I'm just saying. Stephanie and Paul Heyman bicker some more in the back. Vince has gotten sick of Paul, and he's already left. He tries to strong-arm Stephanie. Stephanie basically says, get out of my face. You're never allowed to be this close to me again. You tell your client that Vince McMahon, the man that owns his contract, is deciding that he's in the Royal Rumble match, which is great. Because, you want to be Paul Heyman and be the bearer of bad news to Brock Lesnar. I'm never doing that again. We have the induction of Sting into the Hall of Fame, or not the induction, but the announcement of the induction of Sting into the Hall of Fame. It's done by JBL, which is fine, I guess. They do the video package. It's all very good. It's mostly WCW. The last maybe 10 seconds of it are his one little brief stint in WWE, which is fine. We're supposed to have a match next. 4-on-4, the Wyatts versus the Social Outcasts, which, I mean, they cut a promo at the beginning. They call the Wyatts trolls and monsters and all this and all that. The announcers go out of their way to say that this should be an interesting match because the Wyatts can identify with the Social Outcasts because they're also outcasts. And you just sit there and you're like, just no. Just don't compare the two. I like the Social Outcasts thing. I think it's a hoot. I really do. And yes, I just said hoot. But don't compare them to the Wyatts. That's just bad. Basically, all of them try their hand at fighting Braun Strowman, and all of them take an ass-kicking in turn. Bray Wyatt's about to put the thing mercifully to bed early with his sister Abigail when Ryback runs in. Ryback and the Social Outcasts beat the Wyatts down, and the Wyatts retreat. I don't know where to start with this. The Wyatts look like bitches here. Just saying. Ryback, the babyface, saved the heel social outcasts from the heel Wyatts, so yay? I guess? Last week they played it up like the Wyatts were going to be a true force in the Royal Rumble. Now they're being defeated by the Job Squad 2.0 and Ryback. I don't know what that does for Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, but we will see moving forward. It literally says on my notes, Ryback run in, Wyatt's retreat. Huh. So there's that. We replay the Kalisto match with Alberto Del Rio from SmackDown, which was legitimately great. I will suggest two things. First of all, like I say, I will plug myself. Go check out my review of SmackDown from last week. But B, I really do think you guys should check out the match, Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto from SmackDown. It's really good. And so is this next match, Alberto Del Rio versus Kalisto for the United States Championship. Takedown and brawling and chops to start by Alberto Del Rio. Snap vertical suplex by Alberto Del Rio and a clothesline and a DDT. Tosses Kalisto out, tosses him back. There's a lot of this in this match where he throws Kalisto out because he can, and you think he's going to beat him down on the outside, but he just goes outside and throws him back in again. I don't know what purpose that serves other than I'm bigger than you, I can throw you around. But that... it's the only thing I don't like about this match. It's just I'm going to throw you out to throw you back in again. Other than that, the match, I have nothing else bad to say about it, so we're going to go on. Stomps by Alberto Del Rio and a top rope seated senton and a springboard corkscrew crossbody, all by Kalisto. Batista Bomb by Alberto Del Rio. I really like that he's using that, because Batista Bomb is particularly used by a bigger guy like Batista. Enough said. But seeing it used by Alberto Del Rio, who's still a big dude, but not a jacked up Batista, Brock Lesnar, Triple H kind of dude, is kind of cool. Tosses Kalisto out of the ring again, tosses him back in. Kicks to the midsection by Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio rides a headlock in the ring. Headbutts and knee lifts by Alberto Del Rio and a top rope crossbody by Kalisto. Not a corkscrew this time. Clothesline by Alberto Del Rio. Both men trade kicks in the corner. Suicide dive by Kalisto, who's tossed off by ADR into the rail. And this kind of looks dirty. He comes through the ropes like you do in a suicide dive. Alberto Del Rio not only ditches the move, not only sidesteps the move, but sort of guides him into the rail. So, you know, you're already in motion, nothing like somebody throwing you like a javelin into the guardrail. Made me think, honestly, and people are going to laugh at me for saying this, made me think of the second, or was it the first or the second? The first Hell in the Cell match when they got out of the cell, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, and Undertaker sort of javelined Shawn Michaels head first into the fence, except this was with the guardrail and Kalisto was already flying. And it wasn't really like that at all. It's like the same, but different. Come back from commercial break, and Kalisto misses a crossbody. So that's two airborne moves in a row because there was a commercial break in the middle, as far as the TV viewing audience saw anyway. Clothesline by Alberto Del Rio, kicks by Kalisto, vertical suplex by Alberto Del Rio. Kalisto crotches Alberto Del Rio on the top rope, which is nice because he's not a heel, but he pulled a heel tactic there. Top rope Hurricane Rana by Kalisto is nice. Springboard corkscrew crossbody again by Kalisto. A dirty float over DDT by Kalisto. Was just great move, sold great by Alberto Del Rio. Tilt-a-whirl backbreaker by Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio crotches Kalisto on the top turnbuckle, setting him up for a reverse dragon top rope superplex, which is nice. Sets him up in the Tree of Woe. You think he's going to go for the stomp, but he doesn't. He doesn't go for the stomp. Instead, he pulls out, for the first time in 2016, the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, head scissor by DDT by Kalisto. Finally, one of, you know, I will say Kalisto's got the 5 moves of doom like everybody else, the springboard corkscrew, crossbody, the rolling kick, and all that sort of thing. But he finally hits that head scissor DDT thing that he does, and we have a final sequence that goes, he tries for the Salcido del Sol, which gets countered into an attempt at a suplex, which gets countered into a roll-up, which gets countered into Kalisto being your new United States champion. Guys, this match was great. This match should have been at the Royal Rumble. This match should have been at the Royal Rumble. This was really good. The reverse dragon suplex off the top was dirty. The top rope Hurricane Rana by Kalisto was dirty. Just even the Where is it in my notes? Even the float over DDT, which is not exactly the most extravagant of moves, was great in this match. The final sequence was great. The Daniel Bryan silly kicks were great because we were supposed to have a Brie Bella match that I'm going to talk about in a second that didn't actually happen, so we didn't get any in that match. Alberto Del Rio's like, they know, Spaz's viewers know, they want to see the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Brie Bella's going to have her moment stolen later in the night, so what'll I do? See, I will give them the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. And then I'll give Kalisto my belt because wrestling. Great match. I don't know what else to say other than it's really, really horrible to say that this push might not be happening for Kalisto if it wasn't for the fact that his partner was injured. So I don't want to say that Kalisto is bad for that in any stretch. This is not a Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero comparison that I'm making here. It's really not. Nobody died, etc. But it's really funny to think that he might not have this title. He might not even have tag team gold if his tag team partner was still around, because that seems to be going to the Usos. But whatever the reason, he's making the best of this singles run. He's got himself a singles title. He earned it in a great fucking match on SmackDown. Another great fucking match tonight. Brie Bella, as I said, was supposed to have a match with Charlotte, but things happened. Brie Bella comes out with Alicia Fox, who is just at this point the chocolate substitute Nikki Bella, and she's just not, is she? She's really not. Charlotte comes out with Flair. Obviously, they're talking some shit in the back, as they usually do. They can't even start the match, because while Charlotte's still doing her splits entrance thing, Becky Lynch comes from the crowd. She basically beats the living hell out of Charlotte. Tries for the disarmer. Charlotte escapes. Roddy Rah. They pull. They do another ref pull apart, which is cool, because ref pull apart is, you think ref pull apart, you think like Tyson and Austin, or you think Rock and Triple H, or you think these big burly guys that need a lot of guys to pull them apart. The fact that you're doing the ref pull apart thing for the Divas, it's a little thing, but it shows that these girls have some fight in them as well. They can be just as vicious, just as violent, all those types of things. One thing I do like is as they're dragging Becky Lynch up the ramp, she shouts out, "I'm coming for your championship and your arm." Fucking great. Ric Flair comes on, heel manager type. "Because of Becky Lynch, you all don't get to see the champ tonight. Now give me my jacket." It's good. Last up, we've got the 1 versus all match. Nowhere in this show did they actually explain to us what the 1 versus all match is, which is fine. But before the match actually starts, we get some announcements for SmackDown. This Thursday night for you guys, Wednesday night for me on SmackDown. We're going to get Dudley's versus the Wyatts in a tables match. We're going to get Ambrose and Neville versus Owens and Sheamus, which could be interesting. We're going to get an immediate title rematch between Kalisto and Del Rio, which better be the main event, is all I'm saying. This deserved to be a main event tonight, but instead we had this. 1 versus all. We had Roman Reigns come down to the ring. We had Vince McMahon and Stephanie come down to the ring. Then they introduced the opponents. The opponents for Roman Reigns were The New Day, the Cosmic Wasteland, the entire Wyatt family, Alberto Del Rio, Sheamus, Owens, and Tyler Breeze. So, team heel. And Vince basically explains that you're going to have to beat all of them. That you're going to keep facing all of them, Stephanie says, you're going to keep facing all of them until you can't stand. Basically, that doesn't happen, though, because Roman Reigns has a great match with Kevin Owens, which is great, which is a match that I wouldn't mind seeing on a pay-per-view, as I mentioned on Twitter. Really puts Kevin Owens over. He doesn't let him win, obviously, but he really does take a beating at the hands of Kevin. I didn't take notes because I figured this was going to be a clusterfuck, and when halfway through the match I realized it wasn't, and I didn't have notes, I kind of felt a bit foolish, I'm not going to lie. But really, Owens looked fantastic in the match. You got Vince McMahon and you got Kevin Owens, normally would pause in a match and ridicule Michael Cole, which is fucking great, and I love when he does that. But instead he's looking over at Vince and Stephanie. He's like, "Are you watching this? Are you watching what I'm doing? I'm gonna be the guy," and all this sort of thing. Eventually, when Roman Reigns starts his comeback, one by one, the Ascension, Stardust, Tyler Breeze tries to stare down Roman Reigns, and you're just like, buddy, no. Eventually they all beat the crap out of Roman Reigns. Then you hear that big squeal at the beginning of Brock Lesnar's music, and everybody in the ring lights up, big smiles, especially the New Day, because they're all animated as hell. You know, Xavier was like, come on, get him. He's tapping him on the chest, he's tapping him on the arm, go get him, whatever. And he destroys everybody. Clears the ring of everybody. Clears the ring of the Wyatts and Sheamus and Owens. The big suplex that he threw on Owens got a big pop from the crowd. Because again, there's another match that we would really like to see. Owens and Lesnar is a match we all want to see. Kind of like last week when I looked at the big 4-on-4 schmoz on SmackDown and said, I want to see a Ziggler Miz match. It's not going to happen, but I want it to. It's one of those types of things. And then you figure, okay, this is the tipping point. This is the turning point. He just took out all the heels. Is Brock Lesnar turning face? And he sort of drags Roman's broken carcass out from the corner, and you think maybe he's face. Maybe he's face because he doesn't like what the McMahons did to him. He's face because he doesn't like being forced to... No, he F5s Roman Reigns, doesn't he? So Brock Lesnar isn't face, Brock Lesnar isn't heel, Brock Lesnar is fucking Brock Lesnar. That's it, and that's how we end the show. Brock Lesnar is now officially in the Royal Rumble match, which makes everything a little bit more fun, at least for me. As I say, people are going to shit on this show. The only thing, really, that's shitty on this whole thing is I really don't care about this Stardust Titus O'Neil thing. I really don't. Titus O'Neil's okay, and I like Stardust. I want to give a shit, because obviously they're going somewhere with it, and this storyline isn't going away, but I just don't. So as long as this goes on, that part of my notes is just going to say Stardust versus Titus O'Neil, and I don't care. The rest of it, though, is great. We're pretty sure at this point we're going to get something with Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio at the Royal Rumble. We're going to get another installment of Ambrose and Owens at the Royal Rumble. Looks like we're going to get the New Day versus the Usos at the Royal Rumble. Looks like we're going to get Becky versus Charlotte at the Royal Rumble. You guys know who I want to win all of these matches. And you know what? Honestly, the Rumble match for the title is something that I think is interesting. It'll put a new spice into the Royal Rumble match itself. It's kind of beyond whether I like that they did it or not, because I really, at this point, a lot of people could win this. A lot. Like, if Roman retains, everybody else is going to groan, but I won't care. If Lesnar wins, Roman gets his rematch at WrestleMania. So there's that. If Owens goes on and beats him, I included that in some of my fantasy booking for WrestleMania. Go check that video out. You know, we're not going to get surprise returns of anybody of significance. We know we're not getting Orton back. We know we're not getting Cena back. We know we're not getting Rollins back anytime soon. So, I mean, Bray Wyatt, maybe. It's going to be somebody predictable, but it's really just going to be a stepping stone to what they want the main event at WrestleMania to be. And as long as it's not whoever that champion is versus a part-timer at WrestleMania, I'll be okay with it. Raw was great. I'm excited about the Royal Rumble. I'm losing my voice. I've been doing a shit ton of overtime, so I'm actually allowed to be tired, and it's not even that ridiculous o'clock. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Like I say, go back last week. The response I got, I don't get a fuck ton of views on this channel. I get a couple hundred for each review that I do. The response that I got for last week's Raw review is fucking outstanding, guys. If it's something that I specifically did last week that you guys really liked that I'm not even aware of, please let me know down in the box below so that I can do more of that, because apparently you guys like it. Please check out my SmackDown reviews with Mauro Ranallo being on SmackDown with the new focus and the better matches and whatnot that it seems like we're going to be getting on SmackDown. I'm pretty sure SmackDown's going to be a thing this year. NXT should be a review this week. Now, I know they're doing their awards show. If it's just a show about the awards, I'll do like a 50-50. If it's like they do on Raw with the Slammies, where there's a couple matches and a couple of awards, I'll review it. I don't want to do a review that just consists of, oh, they had this category, and this guy won, and this girl won, And this team won, because that's not really exciting for anybody. You guys can look up the results to see that. If it is an actual proper show, you will get an NXT review. It'll be the first one of 2016. Alright, I've rambled long enough. This has been your Raw review for January 11th, 2016. I have been Spaz, of course, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.